All right, Calvary. All you game changers of people that are just, you're unrelenting. You're going to make this life yours. Ownership, responsibility. That's the people that subscribe to this channel. Welcome back for those. And for the ones that are new to this channel or haven't seen these videos before, this is the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Everett Broshears. I go over 8 different areas of maturity, and I just talk about life experiences, different insights that I have, the perspectives to try to give just different views so that you can break free of wherever you feel like you're starting to paint yourself into a corner. There's always something to do. It's just a lot of times we don't know our options. Today's conversation is about becoming a high value person, or being someone, or becoming someone. Now, first off, what is a high value person? High value person is going to be somebody that other people really do like having around. They're valuable. They actually, just being in the presence of a high value person, you feel empowered. You feel capable of something. It's easy to draw encouragement and influence from them. It's nearly infectious to be around this person, or to be around these type of people. I can tell you this: high value people, there is more of the development side of them than it is a genetic thing. It's where they spend their time. We all have the same amount of time. There's 24 hours in a day. There, you do what you want to do with that time. It's yours. Do whatever you want with it. If you notice that I look like I have a little bit of an athletic physique, or at least I go to the gym, well, that's because I choose to take time out of my day to go. If it sounds like I'm intelligent, or at least, articulate to some degree, it's because I've spent time learning how to speak and communicate, as well as I read, fairly often. I enjoy it. If it seems that, I just have a drive and passion, I have something that I'm working on, well, that's because I've decided to take the time to really develop my life in that way. And it started a long time ago. And these are second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour, and day by day. There's been decisions made that are supportive of this. Now, it's not every single one. It's not a ridiculous degree of obsession to the point that you could be Baker acted, or, institutionalized. It's not that. No, what it is it is making decisions. When you have opportunity, you'll have different decisions, right? You get invited out. Well, it's not that I've never gone out. It's not that I've never gone to a party or a bar or to wherever, right? It's not that I haven't gone to the fair. It's not that I haven't gone out to theme parks, right? I've done life, but I work on keeping a good enough balance. So I base my actions off of the priorities that I have, and how do I know best to accomplish each one of those things that I really see as valuable in life enough to make it a priority. Now, if I am feeling neglected to the point that in my community maturity I need to get out to see people, interact, and spend more time with them, well, I will gauge how long it's been. I will go through a process of understanding, is this a missing piece of intimacy that I'm trying to make up for by just putting a lot of people around me to distract me? Is there something specific that's missing that's making me want to go do this? Now, has it been a long time since I've done the thing that I was just invited to do? Or did I do it yesterday or the day before? Have I done it in a series of days? No, and I take those things into consideration, because you can only be one place at one time. You can only think one thought at one time. You can only do one thing at one time. So what am I choosing to do? Well, we all have these options. And I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm not at all. I have chosen to use my time in a different way, and I want to share that with people. I'm not out to play the game that I'm a better person than anybody else. I want to make sure that's very clear as we move through this, because I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't think that I'm smarter. I don't think that I have any specific characteristic or traits that make me something superior to other people. Nothing like that. So I want to put that on the front end of this video, because I'm not coming from that at all. I have such a high degree of curiosity to learn from other people and to pursue things in life that are typically not the mainstream, not the conventional approach to things. If the people in my peer group prefer to go out and drink 4 or 5 days out of the week and, stay out late and then get home and get minimal sleep and then go to work, well, I'm not choosing that. Now, we'll spend time together when we spend that time together, but that's typically where my absence is at. I'm not normally out there doing that. I rarely go out on the weekends as well. I don't do Friday, Saturdays. I have things that I'm up to. If you followed this series so far in these videos and you subscribe to the channel, you'll know that I have daily. I have a requirement of specifically how many pages out of a book am I going to read on a daily basis. I also have a schedule for how much work am I going to do. Right now, I'm writing a relationship seminar. Originally, right now, it's the course that I'm putting together. The seminar will follow it. But it's how to have a powerful relationship, or how to have a really, truly, deeply meaningful relationship, no matter what level it is, from friends with benefits to power couples. It doesn't matter. It's just how do you create more meaning so you have more fulfillment and reward, so you take that portion of the distraction out of your life so you're free to do other things instead of the constant, relentless pursuit of managing relationships that are not very clearly defined, and trying to navigate the emotional upset with relationships that don't even have spoken agreements across the board. They're all, either coming from the inheritance concepts, which is my parents and everybody else's, my grandparents and your parents probably did this, and, the inheritance ideas of relationships, to the idea that, it's common sense. You should know this. Or unspoken agreements. I like these things. You should have realized that by now. I've never said it to you. I've never got your agreement on it, but I'm going to hold you convicted to every slight against it, even though I've never spoke it to you. So you see, there's a huge value in what I'm doing in that world, because relationships distract the hell out of us in our life. You got a lot of stuff you're up to. I promise you, if you surrender yourself to a cause in life, the things that you have pursued up until this point will start to become interesting to you, to the point that some things will be laughable. Other things will be like, I can't believe I've neglected this. And you start to really get a different sense of value in life. You will enliven yourself. And then you'll become one of those people. You'll be a high value person, or you'll become someone. Right? So, all right. Now that I've gone on my little tirade there, why not? Do you read? Well, I'm going to go through 9 different things that are just the top 9 things to help you become, at least at this point. I haven't put together the seminar or the course. It's actually a course, then I'll put together a seminar. And I apologize about the way I'm speaking there. It's course, then seminar. I have not put together the course for becoming a high value person, but I will make it, absolutely, because it is access to so much more in life. It's insane. But I also want to do it in such a way that does not repel the majority of the people out of your life. Because there's a lot of people that become firebrands and they don't need to be. By the way, if you're not familiar with what a firebrand is, it's somebody who's incredibly bold, rich, flavorful kind of person. Their character is bold, rich, and flavorful, if you will. Sometimes and often it's too much. It's the radicalist. It's the extremes, right? A firebrand could be, conceptualized by being at Starbucks and you used regular sugar and they're over there browbeating you. They didn't say anything to you, but they're giving you daggers because you didn't pick the sugar on the raw. Or you even added anything to your coffee. They're the hardcore ones. If you can't drink it black, you don't deserve it. That's typical firebrand stuff. There are some people that do well with it. The people that do well with drill sergeants types of people, they're the ones that typically do well with firebrands. I'm not a firebrand at all. I'm more like water anyway, because I'm not too in your face, but I can be motivated, and I can definitely be a destructive force if I choose to be, but I just don't want to be, because I don't want to create destruction unless you've hired me to do that in your life. But even then, we got stabilizing values we got to go through. That's for my clients. So, all right. tactful way about everything is preferable. But people that like firebrands, sometimes they need to get hit with the wrecking ball. But that's with consent. I don't do it without consent. All right. So, high value person. First off, let's get into it, okay? There are 9 things here, the top 9. First one, and this is number 1 for a very damn good reason. Now, number 1 is integrity. Integrity is do what you say and say what you do. Don't tell a lie. The more you go into integrity, or the closer you get to pure integrity, you don't tell white lies, you don't use encrypted language, any of that. Now, I am working on that. I am absolutely working on every area that I am out of integrity. There's real world consequences to everything you've created whenever you have any other version of integrity other than the pure and complete integrity. So with that, it's kind of interesting, because once you get to that point where you truly have taken complete responsibility and integrity, it looks radical to people outside of it. But for the person that's absolutely has engaged with it and embraced it, because I do know quite a few people that have accomplished being in complete integrity, and I'll tell you right now, if they don't like you, they will tell you. But they'll tell you why they don't like you, and they'll tell you what you can do to fix that if you choose to. But there's a lot of things they can do. They have access to. You're not going to sit in an elevator and walk out going, "Oh, we talked about piano music," unless you talking about piano music actually did shift your life a little bit. They're powerful people. The more you synchronize with integrity, the better and more likely you are to be a powerful person in this life. You are a valuable person. You become high value. So, that's a beautiful and interesting piece. But yes, if you do not have integrity, man, you can't lie your way into becoming a high value person. You can fool people to believe you are that, but you come crashing down to earth worse than Icarus with his wings weighed down by all the dust and clay, of earth. If you're not familiar with Icarus, I love mythology, because it's the lessons of history that were used for a very specific reason to the population that worked with it and had it available to them. So, all right, integrity, that's a big one, baby. Yeah, I don't fault people for being out of it, by the way, but make a declaration and work your way there. It is a process to get there. Most people do not have a lifestyle or the relationships capable of handling a massive U-turn or redirection of the way that you interact with people when integrity is involved, for that hard jackknife of reaction. It's better to take the turn, because you still have to also understand what the hell, because you will learn you in the process. You're not just teaching the world something. You're also going to be learning yourself about what integrity is. So, all right. The second thing, number 2, find something that motivates you, gives you purpose. Find what you'll live for and live for it. If you don't have something that you are absolutely adamant about, like mine is the Maturity Project, this to me can change humanity, because it is an education that gives a very specific focus on maturity in such a way that it starts to show you how your life is not working the way that you think it should, and why other people's lives are working in the places that you're measuring. And as you get to know what they've got going on in their life in the bigger scheme of things, you realize that they're immature in other areas. There's 8 areas of maturity. That's my thing. That's my purpose, and it has me absolutely fired up. It has me to the point I will get to the point that I have nothing for myself, so long as my family is taken care of, so that I can create this thing, right? So I live on a daily basis. I filter the world through the lens of the 8 areas of maturity. So I run across fewer and fewer assholes in my life, because I realize that where they are is just different places of maturity, and they're reacting the way that they are for a reason. Now, if I give them a term or give them a prestigious title such as "you're an asshole," that doesn't mean that you're crowned that for the rest of your life. It's just more of, by this definition, you are that. And would you like to change it? It's a very interesting place because it gives you more workability and more power in life, because workability equals power. It's a very strong and major piece, a facet of power. If you don't have workability, you're going to be in some trouble when it comes to what's next in life, because you can't pivot well. You're going to be holding on to a past version of life that is likely and almost guaranteed to be outdated, and it would almost be directly indicated that it is outdated because of you're having problems with it right now. It didn't save you from this evolved moment, so it needs to adapt and evolve, and you know, you know, you're limited because you don't have the pliability and workability. You can't pivot well. So find the thing that enlivens you. Now, this thing does not need to be the declaration of purpose. Sometimes, and for me, I had to feel out different things before it finally hit me. And by the way, the Maturity Project hit me in a Starbucks in Clearwater, Florida, off Gulf to Bay Boulevard. Just sitting there. It's Clearwater Mall. And I'm sitting there, and this one day, it came to me like a voice in my head. I was more, I was thinking about it, and it almost seemed, because of the way it was so affluent to me, is it was also, it was like as if somebody else was saying it to me, but at the same time I felt like it was the thing that resonated with me, to the point where I felt like my soul was like, alivened by the realization of it. And I knew that this was something that was much bigger than myself, and I'm living into that cause because I want to help people. Oh, I'll tell you this: if you look into people that give advice on narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, and Machiavellians, if you look into that, they'll tell you to run, to avoid, to get rid of those people. I'm not telling you to do anything with this. What this has done for me, and I'm speaking specifically for me, no matter how much noise is out there about those types of people, the people with those types of psychological profiles, it gives me hope for them. It gives me workability to a degree that I don't abandon and run away. Now I'll quarantine. And I have a video on quarantine. It's in the library here, so just go through the YouTube videos. You'll get on it. I'll quarantine those people. I'll preserve my resources in such a way they can't harm them more, including my emotions as a resource, my time, my intellect, my bandwidth of cognitive bandwidth, so the ability to think freely, not having to be anchored down to something else because of an emotional attachment. All of that stuff. Like, I pay attention to those things. But I get access because I know that humanity is over there, and it's a matter of what I can learn to try to create the bridge that can rehabilitate them into such a place that they fit in society without burning relationships. Because that's what they end up doing. They burn relationships. But they burn relationships in such a way they're like a social criminal. They're not a legal criminal most of the time, but I'd say that does happen. But I'd say most of the time it's not necessarily the case. Hurting somebody's feelings isn't against the law yet, but you give these idiots in power right now enough opportunity and enough people brainwashed underneath them to vote for it. The next thing you know, we will have that. Unfortunately, there's something similar in Canada. It's Bill C-16. But it's not illegal to hurt somebody's feelings, but on a social level, it can sabotage or affect your reputation because they will talk about you. They'll talk about you with whoever can help them feel a little bit better about the slight that you put on them. If you broke their heart, well, they're going to talk about you. And anybody that knows you, that they talk about you with, it'll affect your relationship with that person to some degree. Now, they may be like, I don't care, it's not my business, and I stand out. It just falls into the subconscious in the background. It's like, yeah, this is going to come around eventually. But they may not think it on the front end. But eventually, hey, time comes up whenever there's interaction with you and them. And it may not be in the intimate sense if it's a boyfriend-girlfriend breakup type thing from the person that told them about your situation with them. But it might be something else. You might have a business venture you want to get into, but they're like, well, what about what he did to her? And it really did seem like it hurt her pretty bad, and morally it was messed up because it's her rendition, not yours. You were probably not consulted or talked to about it all. They likely swept it under the rug because people are also conflict avoidant. Instead of creating completion based off of something they heard so they can have their pure relationship with you, they go based off of what they heard from somebody else because Why would they tell you something that could just possibly frustrate you or get you upset with the other person? There's a lot of stuff. They hold it back for a reason. So, if you want to be a high value person, you're going to watch out for this stuff. I'll get to that one in a bit too, because it's in the list here of the 9 things here, to expand a little bit further into that specific category. But just be responsible, hold your integrity, be somebody who's up to something, and don't do people wrong as best that you can. Now, here's a caveat to that. Don't do anybody wrong that you're willfully aware of. You cannot control whether or not somebody else receives what you've done as wrong if they've never had that agreement with you in the first place, especially if it hasn't been voiced. If you've never made the agreement with them and they never spoke it to you, they may have an unspoken agreement with you that you have no idea about. But you'll be held to the same level of accountability as if you did actually have the conversation. And you're like, why are you upset? I don't understand why you're upset here. You should know. That kind of stuff. That's just a simple, example of it. But all right, moving on. Number 3, if you don't do this already, read something that aligns either with your interest or the area that you have attributed to being your purpose. Now, I have a lot in my category. It's 8 different areas, and there's derivations throughout every single category. So there's a lot. I can watch a movie and study. I can watch a standard mainstream movie in the theater or at home. Beetlejuice, I can study, because it's like I look so deep into what the hell is going on, and I'm using the 8 different areas of maturity to assess what I'm watching, so I can verify what they intend for me to feel, what parts of this entertainment are we in. Like, I take things apart so ridiculous. Like, I'm just obsessed with it. But I usually keep the majority of that to myself if I'm watching a movie with somebody. But the point of it is that I am studying constantly. I'm always out to learn. But I read also. Now, I read subjects, or what I do is I say, okay, what is the most likely area, if I cannot absolutely pinpoint exactly where I need to put my effort in order to see more movement for my goals, then I will go to the area I know of what I need to attribute to. So I might be looking at, I need to have better marketing in order to get people out there, to know what the hell I'm doing. Well, I've got books on marketing. I've got a marketer that works with me. I can sit down and talk to him. We could talk about redirecting or adding different content values, things like that. We're still in a very early phase for this, but the point of it is that I still have access to something to help educate me. I can ask him for book suggestions if he doesn't have the time available in order to do what I need, but I do if that's the case, or in this situation, maybe in the scenario I do have time, then I'll read for that. Or I'll put it on the list and be like, look, whether it's there or not for you and you've got time for it, this is an area that I want to better understand because 2 heads are better than 1. But I do have a lot of stuff that I'm working on. So it just depends on what I've got going on in my life. But I will pick a book or a series of books over a subject that help with that. The 4 Disciplines of Execution is the current book that I'm reading, and it's got every night 6 pages that I'm required to read. That is the minimum requirement for me. And if I miss one, it carries over into the next day. You could go one step further to really encourage yourself not to miss anything if you're going to use that practice, which would be you would also owe yourself 1 additional page as a penalty for missing. So it's 6 pages, or if you miss, it's not 12 pages the following day, it's 13. Just something to create a penalty, but it's not necessarily like a huge punishment as much as it is just to, make sure you're putting the time aside on a daily basis. Because there's only so much you can read in a single setting before you start to go numb. Now, you strengthen that by reading, but read nonetheless. Find subjects that are suitable for your goals. Even if they're not exactly over target and you're just getting started, just read. It will all start to make sense. It will. You're in action. Action will always produce results. Sometimes those results just aren't known to you yet, but you're still producing real results no matter what when you're in action. The results could be you've made a mistake. Gauge the mistake. You've got it available to you because it's right there in your face. You gauge the mistake and then you do something about it. That is a result. Whether you like it or not, it's a result. Because knowing you've made a mistake is better than not doing anything. Because you're growing. Get in action. High value people do this constantly. So read. For more, put comments in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel. I'll make sure that you get. We can start something a little bit more effective for you. If you have an area you're kind of stuck in, send me over an email at yourmaturityproject@gmail.com. That's YOUR maturityproject@gmail.com. Let me know what your goals are, and then I can potentially make some book suggestions for you if you need to get something there. But read, nonetheless, read. If you start to notice that you're checking out while you're reading, or you're daydreaming, or drifting off, or whatever, and you're just not retaining, or if you got to go back and reread the last couple of sentences or paragraph, you probably hit your exhaustion level, and that'll be close to where you need to be. You might need to back it off a little bit so that you don't read and lose, because you don't want to read and lose anything. Get everything the author of the book or the author of whatever you're reading, get what they intended to convey as best that you possibly can. Okay. All right. Now, number 4, reduce or replace entertainment with educational content. So I did this a long time ago. Now, it's not that I don't listen to music, and it's not that I don't watch movies, things like that. I've already talked about that earlier in this episode, but I will use based off of priority. If I am having a very distracting day because emotionally I'm offset and I need to do something, let's say if I'm sad, I might listen to comedians, or I'll go motivational video route. It just depends on exactly what I'm sad about. If it is a relationship issue, let's say an intimate relationship, and I've had a lot of sadness around that, I'll just find some comedians, listen to them. If that relationship was associated with my goals, as far as business or personal development or whatever, I might just go right to motivational videos. Listen to those while I'm working out or whatever. I'll listen to audiobooks while I'm working out too. I don't need the hardcore metal or anything else or whatever rap or whatever people listen to when they're working out. I don't need any of that. And now for chapter 4. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get one more rep out of that. The results speak for themselves. They are working. I'm not like a bodybuilder, but I've had body transformation over time. And again, this is not arrogant. I'm telling you, you can move past, and you don't need to have music to hype you up enough to make the next rep. You can do it without it. It took me a little while, and I felt real uneasy in the beginning because I was so used to music really getting me hyped up. Now I'm like, I don't care. Put something on. There are plenty of people I love listening to. Alex Hormozy is a newer one. It could be, I love Denzel Washington, by the way. He's such an awesome guy. Joe Rogan's another good one. Jordan Peterson. Andrew Huberman. There's a bunch of people, man, that are just like, you put them on, and I'm just like, yes, let's go. Let's do this. It's engaging. It's enlivening. By the way, everybody I mentioned, they're all high value people. Every one of them. They're all high value because they're centric with their goals. Their actions associate with the actual desirable outcome that they're after. So they're on track. Those people, they're high value. They're somebody. So become someone. All right, so read. And then, as far as the replacing entertainment, like I said, I can watch movies and listen to music, but I'm not doing it. Now, there are some instances, I don't really do this with movies. I don't really have an ability to turn it off that I'm aware of, but I don't want to turn it off. I enjoy it. Whereas just you kind of, I guess my mind's moving too fast at times, where I'm paying attention to what I'm seeing, and then I think from the director's position and the actors or the actresses or the other people that are there in order to make the movie work. It might be the scene that you saw in the previews, and I'm like, okay, well, I can see why they found that scene to be the one, but maybe some other scene may have been better. I'm not being a critic against them. I'm looking for the mechanics that they use to understand what was best. That's also an interesting dynamic, because when you're going to a movie, a lot of times the people that do the previews, that's not the director's direction necessarily. It could be just a subcontracted company that's like, yeah, give us the material, we'll come up with something, here's the narrative, don't worry, we got you, we're going to run the narrative of this, and then these are the scenes that are helping support it, so we can get people in there to watch the movie, whether it actually turns out the movie's in the direction the narrative kind of led you to believe or not. I know I've watched movies and I'm like, what the hell were they doing? They put this stuff out in the trailer, and I swear the trailer seemed like it was a better movie than what I just watched. It's ridiculous. Maybe they should have been the one that made the movie, like that kind of stuff. But they also set the motion for the movie, and it turned out that there was a disconnect, which, obviously if I were the one that produced the movie, I wouldn't want to hire that company again. Anyway, I know I digressed on that, but again, that's what my mind does when I'm watching movies. It's not sitting idle just being entertained. It's doing something, but that is entertainment to me. My brain engaged is entertainment. So I just enjoy that stuff. Again, I'm not better than anybody else. I love inspiring, and I love to be inspired by other people that are really up to something. I'm encouraged to do that, to try to encourage other people to get into that, be up to something. So, yeah, reducing the entertainment. Now, when it does come to music, I'll throw this in there, and then I'll go into the fifth, number 5 for becoming a person of interest, high value. Sorry, becoming a high value person. That is music itself. Sometimes, depending on my mood, I'll use music to help aid my mood. If I know that I'm in a bit of a depressed state, or if I'm in less than a desirable place to really feel momentum or engagement to really work on the things that I need to work on, I might pick music to help me with that. It does happen, and I do love music. I do absolutely enjoy music. I just don't have a lot of room for it, so I'll listen a little bits at a time. On average, if you were to put it an entire year, I'll probably listen to, if you average it out for the entire year, I might listen to 2 to 3 minutes worth of music a day, if you averaged it out. And that's probably still a little extra, like a lot more than what actually is my average. But we'll just say 2 minutes worth of music a day. That includes my alarm clock, by the way, which is Queen, I Want It All. It's the song that plays for my alarm clock. All right. So, number 5, care for yourself. And I mean really care for yourself. Look, if you can't care for yourself, who will? Who's going to care for you? Interestingly enough, and there's statistics on this. I don't have the exact statistics, but it's startling. That you're more likely to make sure your pet gets its medication than you are about taking your own. I forgot what it is. It's like 70% more likely you give your pet the medication versus you giving it to yourself, or taking it yourself, like taking your own medication. I don't remember the exact statistics on it. I apologize, but yeah, it was another interesting statistic that I came across a couple of years ago, and it stuck with me, but the actual number didn't stick as well. It is definitely more, and it's substantially more likely that you're going to give your pets their medications, but you won't care for yourself at the same level. Things come up, there's all kinds of stuff, but you just, at the end of the day, you might miss taking your medications because of the fact you don't care for yourself the same way. Care for you. Understand your core values, your I, we, and all, which I borrowed those, and I was influenced by Paul Chek with that. I do teach an I, we, and all version in the relationship course, soon to follow with the seminar. Because if you don't know who you are and what you need to do to take care of yourself, you have no idea what you need to do to care for your relationship. Because if you neglect yourself, it will get you. It absolutely will get you. If you're like, it doesn't really matter how much sleep I get. Do that for a couple of years where you're getting minimal sleep and see how well that affects your relationship. You may not be conscious enough of it, to be aware that, yeah, you've really run your sleep patterns into the ground on this, and you're not recovering well enough, and you're drawn out, you're not healing properly, you're not getting the right mental rest and recovery, and it's just draining you. You have no idea, because it's a slow creep until you finally get really good sleep for a couple of days to a couple of weeks, and then you're like, wow, I feel refreshed and anew, and this is great. I didn't realize I could feel this way. That is a simple one, by the way. That's an I value. I value is exactly what time do you go to bed and what time do you wake up. That's up to you. Now, you might say, well, I got to wake up for my job. You agreed to it, though. So what time are you going to bed? Because if you're not getting yourself in bed enough time to actually get enough sleep to recover, it's on you. It's a core value, man. You can't blame it on anybody else. If somebody else is keeping you awake and you did nothing about it, that goes back to being on you. Somebody decides they're going to play the guitar in the room next door to you, and it's your roommate, and you don't even say anything to them, but you keep missing sleep because you're too nice. Well, guess what? That's a core value thing. So, but anyway, so care for you, because if you don't understand what you need to take care of yourself, you're going to do a really poor job in caring for you. This is going to suck, which means that people will know it. Absolutely know it when they interact with you. You can't hide forever. And if you're doing the other things right, but you're not, your core values are really just sacrificing you because you just don't have enough. You don't have enough boundaries and boundaries to stand up for yourself in the way that actually you can take care of you. If a meeting goes long and you know that you have something else that you need to do, and you oblige yourself to the meeting going longer and you do nothing about that, well, guess what? The person's going to expect you to do it again next time. And you're likely to also expect yourself to do it next time. Maybe you can make up the time in traffic. Maybe you don't hit that light or whatever. And let's say it actually does get you there and you're like 20 seconds late. Well, you're out of integrity because you said you'd be there earlier, but it's not so massive that you're like, it wasn't too bad. So the next time the opportunity shows up, you're probably going to do it again. It doesn't mean that the light's going to do it, but you're building a habit of it at this point instead of making sure you leave with plenty enough time. So, plenty enough time's 5 minutes, but it takes you 10 to get there. Yeah, that's not plenty enough time. Well, if I just get through that light, what are you going to run it? You're running too many chances here. So, all right, care for yourself, damn it. Get involved. Number 6, get involved with something that aligns with your meaningful motivation, your purpose, and if you have yours. If you've identified your purpose at this point, you don't have to. Just find something that just motivates you. But if you can identify your purpose, even if it doesn't turn out to be your purpose in the greater scheme of things, it's still your purpose for now. You can do something with that. Work with it. Okay? Pick it, work with it. Try it out. Wear it around. It's like fashion. You keep trying something, wearing it around for a while until either you own it to the point you're like, this is me, or you're like, I tried that. It wasn't really my thing. It was close though. I did this other thing. Because a lot of times whenever you're looking for purpose, you're going to find something that actually has skill sets that you have that make that thing more desirable. And it may not be the actual life purpose, the thing that really enlivens you, but it's close enough for right now and it makes you feel good when you do it. But eventually that thing is going to get you. It's going to pop up and it's going to be like, hey, here I am. And you're going to say to yourself, either you're going to say, I don't know about that because you really are so fixated on it. The other thing, but there's a very good chance you're going to try it and go, this is so much more synchronized with me than the thing I was doing up until this point. So, all right. So find your purpose. Do something meaningful. Align with it. Because this helps make it all stand out, right? If you're hanging out with somebody and they're like, no. If I've done a lot of martial arts in my life. I can tell you that when I'm dealing with somebody that is into martial arts, like they're really into it, they make it purposeful. They will be to class. They will be at class on time. They'll be there early. If it's meaningful to them, they will be there early. And when you're in that conversation with them, you're like, damn, it's like you said you had to leave 5 minutes from now. But what I want to talk about and what we can do is going to be like 10 or 15 more minutes. Can you hang out? No, can't. They will have their things and they will be out the door at the time they said they would leave. Because they have something meaningful to them. They're going. You're not stopping them. And if you do stop them, you have a little bit of the wrath that's coming back. Unless they're highly responsible for themselves, then they're just going to be like, nope, you're not doing that to me again. And it's going to be one of those things that, look, I tried and you had me hold back. So with this, you can just be like, you know what? I'm a high value person, man. It's not, by the way, high value people, the true and the, well, let's say the true. I would say the ones that aren't trying to make high value compensate for something else missing in their life, they don't tell you they're a high value person. They don't do that. They show you they're a high value person. They be a high value person. But they're not telling you, they're not trying to convince you of it. You'll see it. There's no doubt about it. You will see it. By the way, high value people do very well with the people that they find attractive. They are incredibly attractive themselves. So if you ever meet somebody and you're like, damn, that person really does get a lot of attention, and you know them and you know they're high value, well, there you go. There's your connection. So high value people are very attractive. Even if they're not aesthetically attractive, they're attractive because they're purposeful. Purpose goes a long damn way when it comes to attraction. I don't give a damn what your sexual orientation is. Men to women love a purposeful man. But you know what? Men love a purposeful woman. Or same sex, same thing. It's just they're traits that we all just really are attracted to. But usually we give extra emphasis to the ones that we have sexual attraction towards, or physical attraction of some nature. That would be of an intimate value. So, yeah. So get involved with something that aligns with meaningful motivation or your purpose. Okay. Now, mind your conversations. Number 7, mind your conversations. Avoid drama. One thing with somebody that is a high value person is they're not going to sit around and talk about the weather. They're not going to do the elevator conversations. It's not happening. I don't want to do those at all. I want a meaningful conversation. And if we're going to take the time, connect with me. I don't have enough time in my life to sit around and just talk about the drama of everybody else. If you are going to insist about talking about drama, I won't contribute to it the way that you expect it. I will likely do devil's advocate. I will likely deconstruct the complaint and work on solution, because that's what high value people do. I don't have time to bog down in the drama. My mind is working on a solution. Are you wanting to hear that? Is if you tell a high value person that you don't want to talk about the solution, just consider yourself limited with that person moving forward. They're not going to want to have as much involvement with you because you are not demonstrating something that aligns with their goals and with their values. So a high value person, they're not doing drama. They're not doing it. So, all right. Now, when I say high value person, by the way, there is not like, okay, high value person is this and this one distinction. High value person is somebody driven with integrity and they have a purpose in life and they're motivated to make it happen. Those are the 3 key ingredients when you're dealing with a high value person, and it is incredibly attractive. All right. So, mind your conversations. High value people mind their conversations. They speak with meaningful intent. They don't waste their words. They choose their words very, very wisely. I very rarely misspeak. And actually, I think the last time that I felt like I misspoke was the consequences of the emotional impact the other person received whenever I told her what was really there. But then immediately I was reminded of the attachment that she has for me and I have for her. And that felt strained enough that I faltered on my integrity enough to cater at that moment. Though this is not you're on track no matter what and there's no setbacks. And when that happened, I'm not saying, it could have been a long time ago. You don't know when it happened. But the point of it is that those things do happen, and give yourself forgiveness. This is a practice. We're practicing life. So you just get better at it the more you practice it. And before you know it, people are going to be like, wow, you really do stand out, because that's what high value people do. They stand out. When they walk into a room, there's a degree of a command of the room they have. They're not trying. They're not walking in going, you will kiss my hand, you peasants. No, not at all. They walk in, and people in the room's interest in connecting with that person is what stands out. It's not them walking in demanding people want. something from them. They stand out. They're up to stuff. They're the ones that people want to connect with. All right. So, that rolled up on me. Number 8. We're almost done. Number 8. It's incredibly important. If you want to be a high-value person, listen. 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them appropriately. Listen to the other person. When they speak, listen to them. That will get you there. So, just pay attention. Listen to them. Listen to what's being said. Listen past what's being said. Listen for the context. Listen for its origin. Just listen. It'll take you a lot further than waiting to speak. Listen. Waiting to speak, by the way, if you're not familiar. When you're sitting there and you're nodding away and you're in your head and you go, ooh, that thing you said earlier, the buzzword or the thing that caught my attention, I didn't let go of. And I have been waiting for you to finish the sentence, paragraph, or page so that I can say right to you what I have been waiting to say to you, whether it's relevant to what you're really saying or not. That's not that. That's what people do, though, when they're waiting to speak. When you listen, you shut the hell up in your head and with your lips, and you let them finish. It does something to other people when they realize they've been heard. And it does something to you because it's going to give you more of the information that's necessary to make the best decisions for yourself and potentially the other person or other people along the way. Because a high-value person's also more likely to be given, the prestigious leader title, if that's what you're after. I personally am not after the leader title. But if you are after that yourself, fantastic. It's going to give you more access to it. Listen. Listen to what's being said. Okay. Last one. Number 9. Diversify. Well, if you have the thing that motivates you or your purpose, there's going to be a lot of ancillary things. And the more you pay attention to what else you're diversifying in your skill sets, because you go right back through the whole thing. 1, integrity in that area. 2, it's got to be find something that motivates you, right? So you're going to hold, actually with that, you would switch it up, and number 2 would be number 1 on that. You would actually find the other things that interest you, or some supportive factors that interest you about your purpose, or the thing that's motivating you, and then you put your integrity on that one. So you just switch those two. So when you first start off, hold your integrity no matter what, and then when you come back for diversifying, which is just adding new things to it, which is also not the same subject but similar, but to some degree, if you keep doing this, before you know it, you've actually surrounded the entirety of your life with it, because you're constantly picking other things to use the same model on again and again and again. And before you know it, you are integrity in everything in your life, and you have built something so meaningful. No matter what it is that you do, you're going to make things so damn meaningful in life. When you have fun, it's meaningful fun. You're engaged. You're not insecurity bound or restricted, which, by the way, is maturity. Maturity gives you that privilege to play like a kid without the insecurities of being judged as if you're an adult playing like a kid. It's pretty cool when it comes to that, versus I don't want to grow up. Yeah, you're not comprehending maturity properly. You probably haven't been taught maturity properly is the issue. Go back through it, diversify. What else is there? If you really want to get into this and take yourself to the school of life of maturity, then you got 8 different areas to do all of this in, which is fantastic. Pick each one of them, make each one of these areas purposeful. Your physical body is purposeful. I'm going to make my body the best I can based off my genetics. I'm going to make this thing awesome. Your community, I am going to contribute to my community with so much purpose that people know that I live for a reason, and that my community matters to me. So then your reputation, whether you lie or tell the truth, all of that stuff makes a lot of purposeful values, instead of just, maybe they'll catch me if I lie. Hopefully they don't. Yeah, none of that shit. All right, then you get into cognitive or intelligences. You're specifically making learning very driven and very integrity, solidified, and there's nothing about learning that you don't feel purposeful about. You were just on fire. Even if you sit down and read something about how they created lipstick, you'd just be like all over it. Like, wow, this is crazy. I love it. Look at why they did this. Actually, Joe Rogan is a perfect avatar of this. Intelligence and purpose, that man is awesome with it. Well, so is, there's actually a lot of them, but Joe Rogan's probably the most obvious, on the surface there. So then you've got emotions, right? You've got emotions. You really make emotions purposeful. I'm going through these things, and you're evaluating your emotions to the point that you're maturing them. You're so aggressive about developing. You're just like, I'm going through this, but I'm not going to take it out on you because you know what? You've only just enlivened this area of my emotions, and damn it, I can do something with it. Thank you. Instead of sitting back going, you fucking asshole. You bitch. I can't believe you did that to me. Instead, you would switch it, and now you're with the thank you. I had no idea that this would stimulate that response, and I have something I could work with here. That's the emotion side. Finance, man. You get just so purposeful, by the way, with finance, not just investing, but you're investing in something that really matters to you. And you can do something with it. You can find people like me or other people that are like, they're so enlivened, they're doing something to make things better, and you invest in them. Instead of looking for a money return, you're looking for a social return. You're looking for a change-based return. It's, and yeah, you can get the other out of it too. You get a financial reward out of it as well if you create the right agreement with finance with those people. There's a lot of ways you could be so much more responsible with finance and to be so impassioned and enlivened by it, instead of whether or not you get a nice big RV to travel around the country when you retire, right? Or you can afford your next divorce, whatever the hell it is. So, business, how many businesses have you started? You don't have to be an entrepreneur, by the way, but how many did you climb the ranks in and become CEO, man? You can be fired up about that, and you make so much purpose about business. There's sexuality. What is it that has been holding you back in your sexual world? You could be so purposeful about it. You actually just become somebody that absolutely makes a difference, even just in sex. Right? You're with somebody. Your sexuality is so incredibly purposeful. Prince is a great example of that. That man excited so many people, and he had so much responsibility with it when it came to interacting with him. If you ever watch him when he did interview stuff like that, that man was incredibly humble. And he was actually kind of like, calm down, ladies, calm down. Because they were just all over that guy. Because he just exuded sexuality, but he was highly sexually mature. But he had purpose in what he did, and that was part of what made him amazing with his music, is he was incredibly purposeful. And sexuality just showed it. He radiated it, It's absolutely impressive. His sexuality is one of my strongest categories of development. It's not the strongest, but it's one of my strongest of the 8. And I got to tell you, man, Prince is incredibly impressive. Yeah, I just sit back and all of that, man. I'm like, damn. But the sexuality is not for manipulation for me at all. Nothing like that. It's just connection and just the pure joy and pleasure of it all. And I'm not just talking about the act of sex. I mean, sexuality as a whole. It's there's a lot of values in that. But anyway, and then spirituality or purpose, if you're not purposeful already with what you have in life and what you're like driven to make a difference with, this is like a great place. You're diversifying the entirety of everything. You start looking at it. Once you go through all this stuff and you get to number 8, so you've gone through all of them after you've already settled the first time and you've got a success model with this approach. Then you've gone through 1 through 7. Once you get to 8, you will start seeing new areas of purpose. You will start finding other things that set you on fire, that just, enliven you and make you just live. Like, you're gonna find it. Yeah, absolutely. It will blow your mind how this really opens you up to the world. It's fascinating. So, all right, that's what I got for today. Got to close it off. This has gone a little bit longer than I anticipated. But share this video with a person in your life that you want to make meaningful change with. Somebody that you want to start a conversation to truly change life. Share this video with them. Have a conversation about it. I don't care how you use me in this conversation. Share this video with them. Have a conversation about it. I don't care how you use me in this conversation. Share this video with them. Have a conversation about it. I don't care how you use me in this conversation. Share this video with them. Have a conversation about it. I don't care how you use me in this conversation. Share this video with them. Have a conversation about it. I don't care how you use me in this conversation. Start it. Make it real. Do something with this. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and encourage other people to subscribe. Let's build this community. I am not the only one with this information. There are other people that are far more mature than I am in one of those 8 areas, if not than several of them. And they will contribute, and they can contribute, whether it's directly to me or if it's to you. Get them involved. Bring them into the fold. Suggest the videos to them. There's a lot to go. This is an early stage of this. This is just very rudimentary. I'm in the back patio of the house, of my house. I'm back here. I'm sweating. But I'm just going with life, man. This is gonna grow into the next phase. I'll have a studio out here sometime soon, and then you'll see all that stuff as it continues to build out. But you know what? This is it, man. What else are we gonna do? You can sit back and pay your bills and wait to die if you want. Or you can do something with this life that you got, and you can call it a gift and know it as a gift. Or it could just be a term you served. It's up to you. Like the video, help with the algorithm. Okay? Remember, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. But the people that follow this work, you are not out to create any more paths to hell. So, all right. I'm your host, Chad Everett Brochures. This is the Maturity Project. Let's get up to something. Let's get up to it together, all right? Let's go.